Welcome back. So, by now, I imagine that you have managed to figure out what the error is. But here's what I was looking at. First of all, hey, look at the error message. It says, while unexpected end of file while looking for a closing quotation marks, for matching quotation marks. It places here for matching, but when it says for matching, there is one, and then it needs the other. So I guess the other one should be the closing one. Anyway, if you take a look from the top to the bottom, you will see that the code below is not highlighted properly. And you will see that the exit command is not highlighted properly immediately. So I take a look from there. So I started looking from there. It says echo, quotation mark, usage, base name, test file. Okay. Here's the error. Look what happens to the colors on the screen. Look at how text changes colors. Look at how the highlighting is different. Voila, there you go. I missed the quotation marks. But no big deal. Quite a common error. And then you start looking around and trying to figure out what it is that you did wrong, and believe it or not, I can see or something like that, people sometimes waste an hour because they made some sort of a trivial mistake somewhere in 10 billion, well, not in 10 billion lines of code, but let's say in a million lines of code. Spend a long time looking for the error, even though you have a large amount of debugging tools which help you a great deal. Anyway, in Bash, you get the error messages, and they tell you have the error messages, you have the exit codes, and they help you troubleshoot your code and see where the problem is. Debug it, basically. When you don't actually troubleshoot the code, you debug the code. You take the bugs out. An old statement which dates back to when they actually first started using computers. It does have something to do with bugs, like real bugs. I advise you to look it up on the net. You'll find the definition quite curious. Quite interesting. Anyway, let's go ahead and continue. Now, first of all, in the previous tutorial, we have used this funny looking thing and this funny looking thing, and we have stated that the R will return true if the file exists and is readable. We know from before that the exclamation mark is the logical not, so it reverses the test result, so it goes into reverse. If either of these files does not exist or is not readable, well, then it's just gonna go ahead and echo out that the files are real, which is very stupid of me to have written it. So I also made an error there. I should have probably typed it in like this, which would make more sense. Files are not real. There we go. So if either of these statements, if either of these files does not exist or is not readable at all, then echo out files are not real. Files are not real. I wrote files are real for some strange reason in the previous tutorial. I don't know. And down below it says exit, and then we shall have a reference variable where we will get the exit code of 86. So we will know what is going on. Let's go down below and continue on typing. We will use the CMP command next, and CMP command stands for compare two files 1 byte at a time. When it encounters the first byte in one file that is different from the other byte in the next file, it's going to say this byte and this byte do not match, and it's going to exit. So what do we want to do there? Well, let's go ahead and use the first argument, and let's go ahead and use the second argument, and let's go ahead and do the redirect. This is a short version of redirecting both the error message, so the standard error, and the standard output, what is the output, into something, into a file. And our file today will be dev null. Very important place. Arguably the most important place. Let's put it like that. No, just kidding. DevNull is basically a black hole in Linux Unix world where you basically, whatever you put in it, it goes to nowhere. So whatever you put into this file, it goes to nowhere. For example, what people tend to do when they are angry at their ISP providers or something like that, they tend to use a lot of bandwidth. How do they do that? Well, they just find the file on the net and they keep downloading it on end. They start downloading a lot of files and they max out the bandwidth and they redirect all the output to go into dev null. So it's going to nowhere. It's not taking up any disk space. It's not taking up your disk space. It's fine. It's just going nowhere, but it's still being downloaded. Amazing, I know, right? So if this is going to compare the two files, basically what we're going to do here is that the CMP does return a 0 indeed if the files are identical. So the return value is 0 if they are identical, and it will return 1 if they differ. So 1 and 2, $1 and 2, they're the parameters or the arguments, the names of the two files in this particular case, and the $sign greater than, that is the redirection operator. As I stated, it will redirect the standard error and the standard output of the CMP command to basically nowhere, to /dev/null. Writing to it has no effect of whatsoever. Let's go ahead and continue coding. Down below, let's go ahead and type in if bracket $? Hopefully by now you remember what this is. EQ 0 bracket. If the exit status is 0, basically this represents the exit status. And if it is equal to 0, then we would like to state, because remember, the exit status of the last command run is taken into consideration. And this will be the last command that we will run in this program. Well, not the last program, but it's not the last command that we will run in this program, but it is the next to last command, because afterwards we have this if statement and we have the exit status. So if this runs out successfully, the exit status at this point of time will be 0. If it runs unsuccessfully, the exit at this point of time will be 1. Whatever we write down below, for example, if we were to write an echo command down below or something like that, then that echo command would again alter the exit status depending on whether it is successful or not. But now this command will set and define the exit status, assuming that everything up to that point goes well and the way it is supposed to. And now we have an if statement, and we shall type in then, and then echo files are the same, else echo files are not the same. Fantastic. Fi finish exit 0. So if everything goes fine and dandy up to this point of time, this command will run. It will compare the two files. It will redirect its output to dev null. Why? Because we don't really want it on the screen. Okay, we don't care for the output of CMP at the moment. That is why we are redirecting the entire output of the CMP, whether it be an error message or not, whether it runs successfully or not, whatever. We don't want it to output anything to the screen. We just want it to we want to redirect that output into dev. Now, if you want to actually run the CMP in the terminal, just find any two random files and type in CMP file 1, file 2, press enter, and see what the output is. Have to be in the same folder, or at least give a path to the file to each file. Then down below, since the exit status will depend upon the CMP command, as that is the last one that is run before the condition is set for the exit status. We will use the exit status to basically make the output on the screen dependent on it. We will say if it is equal to 0, so if this command returns 0, then the files are the same, because this file returns the value of 0 if the files are the same. If they are not the same, if it is not equal to 0, whatever else it is, it's going to be 1, but whatever else it is, please echo files are not the same. And once you're done with that, just go ahead and exit with 0, stating that this entire code went well, fine, and that all is well. Let's go ahead and type it right. Let's go ahead and type in first.sh, and let's try not passing any arguments. It's going to give us usage. Okay, fine. And let's go ahead and type in, what do we got here? Got blah.txt, and we got tralala.txt, and we got wood.txt, and we have whatever.txt. Wow, I have truly creative names. Let's utilize some of them. Blah seems to be the easiest one. The next one should be wood. Files are not the same, obviously. Okay, let's try to compare two same files. Files are the same. Let's try to pass just a single argument. No, it's going to give us usage. Let's try to pass non-existent files. ggggg.txt. It doesn't need to be txt, just ggggg. Actually, let's just do this. Simpler. So this is going to be my awesome file name. Files are not real. One of the conditions that is missing here is that we should state which one of these files is actually an illegal option here because it is not readable or it doesn't exist. But okay, we can do something similar in the follow-up tutorials. At some point of time we will go through this. Basically it says that they are not real, but it states that both of them are not real. Actually, you know what? You should try to do that yourselves. Basically just try to alter a piece of code in the script, should know which part you need to alter, and make it so that it actually states which one of these two files is not real. So which one doesn't exist, which one is not readable, which one cannot be accessed. If you have any difficulties, something like that, well, there is always the discussion section. I won't go through this in the follow-up chapter. You should be able to do this yourselves. If not, it's okay. Don't worry about it. There is the discussion section. I'll be more than happy to help you out, or somebody else who will be in charge of tech support at that point of time will be there to assist you in any way possible, pretty much. But I would encourage you to give it a shot. One more thing that I forgot to mention, that actually just a couple of them. Keep in mind that the logical not actually reverses the result of a test command or a command which affects the exit status as well. So this is a reverse in this case. Although this part, I assume that some of you might have not understood it quite well, or that it might remain problematic. So again, feel free. Hey, there's the discussion section. Just pose a question. Somebody will be there to answer you and to write an explanation down for you. Glad of will. Happy to do it. And another thing that we need to be aware of that should be kept in mind at all times is that the exit status can be user defined. However, some of them have special meaning and should not be tampered with. Return values, they are important in terms of debugging, as I stated before during the script, but here's a bit of a summary. if the script failed executing or something like that happened, then you need to take a look at these return values and you need to take a look at what is going on. You need to take a look at the error messages. The return value of our script, if it is a non-zero, it will help us understand where the problem lies and thus enable us to solve the problem in an easier fashion, to actually be able to localize our problem as opposed to looking at the whole script and wondering where the problem might be. Sure, it looks simple because the script is small to take a look at the whole script now, but imagine that you have around maybe 500 lines of code. What? You're gonna scroll down through 500 lines of code to figure out where the error is? Of course not. You will have some sort of exit statuses, and you will have return values, and you will have error messages, and it will tell you on which line the problem lies, etc. So you will be able to localize it and then figure out where the problem is. Solve it in a far quicker manner as opposed to just looking at the whole script. So anyway, once again, if this part remains unclear, please feel free to post in the discussion section so that I can help you out additionally. That is why it is there, for me to be able to communicate with you and for you to be able to communicate with each other. But don't worry about it, you will get support if you ask for it. I bid you farewell. We shall see each other hopefully in the follow-up tutorial.